far east, 3 champions wander across the rift. One's a spirit who had it all, separated from his roots to find new paths. One's a falcon that soars above the sky, seeking vengeance to rule the world again. Then there is the hunter, a fearless man, gods and monsters being his prey. The champions are ready. We shall bring on the heat.
你好，大连！欢迎来到2018英雄联盟洲际系列赛亚洲对抗赛的现场。大家好，我是任栋。这个7月，在美丽的海滨城市大连，3个赛区，12支队伍齐聚一堂，让我们欢迎战队代表登场。首先有请代表 LCK 出战的 SKT。 欢迎 FLICKR。接下来有请 LMS 赛区的 Margie。欢迎 Dreamer。 有请 LPL 赛区 IG 战队，欢迎 Jackie。有请 LCK 赛区 KT 战队。 欢迎 Death。欢迎 LMS 赛区 Matty。有请 Bree。 欢迎 LPL 赛区 RW 战队，有请 Moss。欢迎 LCK 赛区 FLICKR。 有请 Kuro。欢迎 LMS 赛区 G-Rex。有请 PK。 欢迎 LPL 赛区EDG。有请 FLICKR。欢迎 LCK 赛区 KingZone。有请 BDD。欢迎 LMS 赛区闪电狼。有请 Maple。欢迎 LPL 赛区 RNG。有请 UCI。现在代表3大赛区12支战队的选手已经集结完毕。接下来的4个日夜，他们将在这个舞台上捉对厮杀，浴血奋战，一切为了争夺亚洲最强。只有坚持到最后的胜者，才能满载荣耀而归，并最终加冕为王。我们相信每个赛区的召唤师们一定都期待着比赛开始的那一刻。现在，让我们一起点亮赛区的光芒。伴随着赛区光芒的点亮，所有战队已经集结完毕。2018英雄联盟洲际系列赛亚洲对抗赛现在开始。
예전부터 아시아가 LOL 가장 잘하는 지역이었죠.
龙真虎斗了这么多年，一定会有人想问：
究竟谁才是亚洲最强？
对 LS 来说，我们每次都只差那么一点点。
이번 리프트 라이벌즈 무대로 다시 저희 LCK가 최고의 무대인 걸 증명하겠습니다.
放马过来，我们是卫冕冠军，这是我们的主场。
작년엔 복수를 올해 꼭 하겠습니다.
来自 LPL 的队伍，每一支都能独当一面。
其实实力才是胜利的法则。
우리가 아시아 최강이다.
我们就是地表最强。
我们要做世界最强。
Today, here in the Dalian Sports Center Arena and all around the world, we will be turning our eyes away from the affairs of mere mortals and instead turning our attention towards a clash of gods that is about to happen on the stage behind us. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Rift Rivals 2018 has officially begun. Welcome. My name is Dom. Joining me here on the desk, we've got Papa Smithy, we've got Razzleplasm. Gentlemen, this arena is hype as heck. The rivalry is about to finally be decided. Once again, we can determine which region is actually the best.
Ooh, see, now I love that you say that, because the last time we got in Kaohsiung, we had a phenomenal setting where LPL proved that one, so it feels like other regions got to be able to take it from us.
The ledger there is a bit one-sided, you'd have to say. The big one, Worlds, that did go to Korea, but otherwise, when it comes to regional representation, it's been China all the way.
We've got to talk about that ledger a little bit more, but let's actually get into the structure of the tournament for Rift Rivals. For those of you who are unaware, this is a bit of an unconventional setup for the tournament. It starts off with a seeded best-of-1 round robin, wherein each region's #1 team plays each other respective #1 seed. #2 plays plays number 2, and so on all the way down to number 4. The regions are then seeded into 2nd, 3rd, and 1st, where number 2 will play number 3 in an elimination best of 5, and they're on advance to take on the number 1 seed. But here's the kicker. The elimination round is played in a blind relay, meaning that each team must play at least once and cannot repeat until Game 5, and you do not know your opponent, as both teams are selected blind at the same time.
And it's fun to see this, because this is what happened in the last Rift Rivals as well in Kaohsiung, and you see some interesting strategies being born, the coaching staff working together to find out who's the better fit to start the relay.
And the people who have been following esports for a long time will know this is the Pro League format. It's definitely a format that's been around, but it has that little bit extra thought process. When do you send out your theoretically weakest team? When do you throw out your strongest team? And what are you anticipating? The mind games there are fun. It's another thing for us at the desk to try to think about.
Yeah, it really turns it into the regional rivalry. That being said, though, let's actually take a look at our teams participating in this tournament. From the LCK, we've got Kingzone, Afrika, KT Rolster, and SKT.
Yeah, and of course from the LPL, you have RNG, EDG, Rogue Warriors, and Invictus Gaming as the crowd cheers their name.
And the League of Legends Masters Series is here as well. Flash Wolves, G-Rex, Mad Team, Machi Esports. Definitely the Flash Wolves everyone will remember from basically every international tournament of all time in the past 2 years. G-Rex, Mad Team, and Machi are the new bloods. No AHQ is the notable one. And to remind you guys at home, this is based on spring season top 4 teams.
Yes.
So teams like Griffin that are going up there in Korea. That's why you don't see those teams, because spring season was the qualification time.
And of course, to remember in the LMS, they've only just started playing their series
it's like 3
as well.
weeks, right?
Exactly. So you haven't really seen what's happening. A lot of these teams, Machi is a good example. 4th seed coming into this are placed 8th. Haven't winning a game. Same with G-Rex.
Well, of course, we're going to get a chance to talk more about those matchups in depth. First, though, let's bring up the schedule so you can see what these games are actually going to be. On day 1, we're opening up with number 1 versus number 1, the MSI rematch, Royal Never Give Up versus Flash Wolves.
It's going to be a really fun one. They already played 3 times at MSI, and the ledger was not one-sided. It was 2-1 overall to RNG. I'm super excited to see EDG versus Afrika Freaks. Afrika's first time on the international stage. It's a statement game against EDG, one of the old names of international performance for China.
Of course, and for me, if I were to look at something, funny enough, it's the last game of the day, Rogue Warriors taking on KT Rolster. That one is exceptional.
Spicy.
Yeah. Especially in the bottom lane. Just because
yeah.
I felt like SMLZ going up against Def, it's going to be a 6 set to see. Both of them are headstrong teams.
Yeah, absolutely going to be compelling to watch. Of course, a big shout out to our sponsors. We've got Mercedes-Benz, Logitech, SPD Bank, and of course ROG setting up with these awesome laptops here. But now there's a lot of stuff that we've got to talk about coming into this. There's the patch, there's these massive matchups. I'm just going to open the floor and let you guys go wild. Papa, why don't you kick it off?
There's just so much to talk about in almost every facet here. The big takeaway on the patch is the fact that you guys actually haven't had 8-12 or 8-13. So 8-13's here, that's new for all of us. I've been watching some of those results and trying to watch the VODs. I saw a lot of supports and a lot of fun going on in some of the other regions. Expectations here, and also LPL not even having the 8-12 changes. What's your first thought there?
Immediately the banner changes come out to me just because there was literally a game with Snake where they just had 4 banners, no more, not something you can rely on.
A lot of bruises and banners.
Exactly. So that's something that they have to come into this one having in the back of their heads.
And of course, the statements for these regions as well. LPL winning Rift Rivals last year. LCK, like you said, the ledger's not in their favor this time.
And that's a very simple point, because Statement Series, this is a tournament that the LCK has never won. So that's already a very simple point. Even the ledger pick up a win, but I think every team that comes here kind of has a different statement, at least from the LCK. You got Afrika Freaks, I alluded to it before. They've been around top 5, 5th so many splits in a row, finally going international, a streaming platform in Korea. A lot of players you'll know, Kuro, of course, returning to the world stage for the first time since the famous run at Worlds 2016, so a big story there. And then you have KT Rolster, of course, players who are very well known to this stage. You heard the huge roar that Deft picked up coming out here, formerly of EDG. And yet, this team that probably has top 5 players in the world at 4 different roles hasn't been on the international stage since last Rift Rivals, only qualified here for a top 4 finish. They have a lot to prove, but then again, so do many teams at this tournament.
Yeah, and that's why I love team tournaments like these, where you really see the depth within the region. A good example is like Star Wars, where you, like
We're going way back. Oh,
way back.
You and I were there for that one.
That was fun. So you get to really see the teams that didn't get to really take that first step into an international. So I would say
the fourth place team, right, is the one that always misses. I mean, when it comes to LMS, it was always, while we saw Flash Wolves in AHQ a lot of times, we see Westor again and again. Okay, he can't really cope against the top mid laners. Now we have 3 new mid laners here from the LMS, and that part is really fun.
Exactly. The 3 new mid laners coming in. Maple, you get to see Apex as well.
Yep.
Uniboy is, I expect someone to be popping off on the Zoe. And then you see the AD carries from the LPL, and that's what I really would love to see. I say 3, but it feels like every AD carry coming in. You got Jacula we got to see on stage.
Yeah.
You see Uzi, everyone, the crowd is by his side. SMLZ we already mentioned. So those 3 AD carries, phenomenal to see if they can come in along with iBoy.
Of course, we're going to be keeping our eye on their performance over the course of this tournament and see if the LPL really can bring the best AD carries in the world, or if we'll actually get upset here.
And I want to oppose one point. Okay. Over at OGN, we have AD as the spot that's there, but we call it awesome dudes because attack damage carries, we don't see many of those. They're coming back a little bit. I think 8-13 pushes them forward. Yes. But just the fact that you're espousing AD carries, I think definitely there's some shocks coming because we will not see every LCK team play AD carries.
So I know we can get into a deep discussion about meta and champion picks and lose a lot of time there, but I think we now have to turn our attention to this first matchup. I don't know if you guys have been able to see behind us, but Royal Never Give Up are loading into the player booth. We've got Flash Wolves also loading up into their Cornucopia as well. And as we already said, this is an MSI rematch. This is a chance for Flash Wolves to try to reclaim some of the pride that they lost at MSI.
They surprised us. That was the big one. Flash Wolves surprised us without a Karsa. They came in strong where, I mean, it says 2-1.
They were first after the first round robin, remember?
Exactly, and they went to second place ultimately because of the tiebreaker that meant that RNG came in 2-1. So in this game, you really get to see if Flash Wolves can come in and tie it.
It's a really important point, and the 2-1 was very, very close. I know when it comes to this matchup, if I'm focusing on one thing, it's the change from MSI, because the big change there is in the top lane for RNG. The big change is that Zatai will be playing at this tournament, and to a lot of people, they've heard the name. Zatai's been around. The thing you forget is that in the Wild West of the early days, especially Chinese League of Legends, Zatai debuted in 2011 at age 13.5. That's right. 17 was not the minimum age back then. It really was the Wild West. This is a player whose luminaries, whose players he was compared to were Wei Zhao, Messiah, PDD, the first generation of Chinese stars, and yet he actually won his first his first LPL trophy in spring season. Of course, he was on the sideline. That's the big story there. Everyone was focused on Uzi's first title. It was also Zatai's first title. And then over at MSI, he was the sideline member. You can only take 6 players to one of these international tournaments. He couldn't fit into the squad. He had to watch on as now RNG went even further and became champions of the world in many ways by winning that MSI title. So I really empathize with a player who's been around so much royalty, who's been so close, you know, 6th man, 7th man to a lot of title-winning tournaments. Now he's here as the only starting top laner for a player that I've seen in CAS for 6 years. I think it's going to be a really big story for him because Riffrae was something different to everyone. For him, to me, this is everything.
Yeah, especially since this is, I would say, his last real good shot this year because his
audition, right?
Exactly, because he's been known as a versatile player coming in from the mid lane to the top lane, being able to play carry positions and tanks. But the big question is because Let Me coming off of the international performance in MSI into a powerful summer split has been doing very well on the same carries as well. So if Zatai can come in very strong, then it has a strong showing if the rest of the summer split, we get to see a little bit more of him. This is a great showing for the man.
Oh, we'll absolutely pay attention to his performance against Hanabi in the top lane, but there's still a lot that goes into this matchup. We talked about Zatai. Raz, what are you looking forward to in this game 1?
I would say immediately Mugen, because Mugen to me, we always talk about it, the replacement for Karsa comes in, is now starting for RNG here today. So there are a lot of question marks to Mugen as a player because Flash Wolves, because for Mugen as a player, just because as a jungler, we didn't know if he can fit in for the team. Karsa was an international known jungler on the Lee Sin, can be putting out the carry performances, but domestically, he is doing super well. And a lot of the problems that Flash Wolves has had in terms of having a phenomenal early game and not pushing it into the late game, or at least finishing it off in Baron, has been resolved domestically. And when we've seen in MSI as well, was great performances and real lessons being learned. He's a lot more of an aggressive jungler in comparison to Karsa, and it looks really nice for him.
I think the first round robin, he along with Flash Wolves, when they were the first team after first round robin, he looked just golden. It looked like this was a player that was overlooked for a long time. He's a Korean jungler jungler, of course, in terms of nationality. He came out at a huge point. His aggressive games, his games from ahead, immaculate. When they were behind, maybe that's where the communication issues came in. That's where the rookie status maybe started to hurt him. But still, it was a very impressive start. Now it's about backing that up with this performance.
And who are we looking to on Flash Wolves in order to support this new jungler for the team? Because like we said, it's stacked. If you look at any lineup, Xiaohu versus Maple, Uzi versus Betty, if anything helps out Hanabi in the jungle, who's it going to be?
It's going to be Maple. Maple 100% as a player is just incredibly strong in the mid lane. And even though you mentioned Hanabi as a top laner, he came into the MSI performances off his Yasuo pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hanabi can play carry.
Oh, yeah.
He's sick. But my focus has always been Maple because he's been the backbone of the team.
We'll absolutely keep an eye on that as well. Again, for RNG, this is a team that's 5-1 right now in the LPL to try and challenge that. Flash Wolves, of course, 3-0. Are we stocking favorites coming into this matchup? I mean, right now it's 2-1 from MSI.
I understand just bringing out predictions, but I actually zoom in on what are we predicting in terms of meta? RNG have been playing all sorts of things. The Vayne top lane that I prophesized in the LCK only debuted in the LPL with Uzi flexing all the way up to the top lane against Mundo. So I think just the amount of craziness, I feel like the precedent is set with the first game of the day.
I will say that for RNG, the compositions will be 80 carry focused, but yeah, damn straight. He's going to be going in any... There was literally a series where he was going top lane on the Vayne pick, jungle with the Xayah pick, and then he went right bottom lane when he had the proper champion pool. So they're very flexible in where they end up going in the laning phase. Good question towards Flash Wolves what they end up doing.
Yeah, we'll absolutely see what those champions are going to be. I got to ask for you guys, though. Do we still count Mordekaiser as an AD, as a marksman?
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, he's an AD.
Awesome dude in the bot lane.
An AD who builds AP. Plays with awesome people. That's what it is. Okay, well, we'll get the chance to see what that's going to be. Again, these drafts are going to be so exciting in 8-13. We've already touched a little bit on the changes. So now, as we get closer and closer to the rosters, I want to talk about how this is going to impact the setup, because this isn't going to be a strict meta based on these specific ones. As Zatai, Karsa starting, Xiaohu, Uzi, and Ming.
And I know that this is Zatai starting, just Zatai as a player, former mid laner, legendary mid laner in 2012. He's able to play everything. The Karthus top could come out here. Situation, we've seen it in the LCK. Who's to say? But over on the side of the Flash Wolves, plenty of power players as well.
Yeah, Hanabi, Muujin, Maple, Betty, and Swordar. Betty was one that we've always had questions on, but in the
MSI.
Exactly. MSI performance is strong. Hopefully he can double down here in Rift Rivals.
We're looking forward to see how they can try to take it out against Royal Never Give Up. Papa, you very eloquently danced around my ask for a prediction of this. I gotta know, who's stacked up in this? Who have you got to take this first game of Rift Rivals?
I just look at the team with the big trophy, man. So it's going to be all about RNG. I think this is a chance for them to show where they're at. I want to see Flash Wolves innovate. There's so many whispers about new champions on 8-13. Remember, Aatrox. New Aatrox is enabled here, seen and played in the OPL and the Pacific Rift Rivals and other areas. We could see him as early as game one, and from the rumors I heard, he goes to lanes you might not expect as well. So,
Raz, do you support this?
Oh my God, I don't know what he's saying.
I'm mind-blowing over here.
I'm ready. See, I don't know what information he has, but I'm cool with that. I'm ready for that.
Support Aatrox. No, I wasn't actually talking about
it. Okay. But I will say, with the big thing that hits me when it comes to this series,
the crowd.
The crowd's one, but also Flash Wolves, fastest team coming into this one, 26 minutes on the dot. For RNG, 34 minutes, so they're the slowest of the LPL teams. So literally 100% time's going to be removed. Both of these teams, I feel like it has to be RNG that changes, because their style is not indicative of like being able to deal with the early pressure. They have to be able to deal with Muujin.
All right, well, now it's time for us to get into that game one of Rift Rivals. Ladies and gentlemen, Rift Rivals has officially begun. Let's hear from the casters for the call of the game.
因为在今年的 LMS 战区跟去年的 RR 的参赛队伍有非常大的不同嘛，然后，但我希望就是可以以我们闪电狼的经验，然后可以去帮助到其他队伍，然后希望我们可以一起在洲际赛拿下好成绩。因为这次的开幕战是我们闪电狼要对上 RNG 战队嘛，然后这次 RNG 在 MSI 中拿了冠军，然后表现非常好。但是因为其实这版本中也有很大的变化，然后我觉得我们闪电狼在这个版本中算是打得蛮好的，所以我觉得我们还是有机会跟他们一战的。
Thank you very much, Dom. I know you were trying to get to us, but we had a little bit of an interview beforehand. Welcome, guys, to the Asia Rift Rivals Caster Desk. I'm Atlas, and for the first time, I'm joined by Clement. Our LMS, LPL, expert on the other two regions that I do not cast.
Yeah, I'm really excited here to be here. You know, it's a great venue. Best seafood in the world, basically. Dalian, that's what it's known for. And some really, really good games coming in. Of course, RNG versus Flash Wolves to kick us off early.
I didn't know it was the best seafood in the world.
Oh,
I'm
that's
excited
what they say.
to try some.
That's
I haven't
what the
actually
city's
tried
proud
any
about.
seafood yet, so I'm excited to get out there and get onto the seafood. But first, we need to talk about the League of Legends, because we've got Flash Wolves taking on RNG. And if you look back at MSI, they missed out on each other in the finals. Of course, it was that complete smashing from RNG on Fnatic to get them into the final against Kingzone. So I like that we haven't necessarily had them on a stage that's incredibly souped up just yet, and now we get to see them here on our first match of Rift Rivals. And Flash Wolves are looking damn good, even if the sample size is a little smaller in the LMS.
Oh, of course, Flash Wolves. They have no love lost between them and RNG, because we have to remember, Karsa left the trio of Sword Art and Maple to go on his own. It proved out to be a very successful venture, but Sword Art did say that he would repay Karsa for his betrayal in this matchup. So there is that rivalry in here between these two regions.
Yeah, I'm excited that Karsa's going to be starting as well, wanting to get his revenge immediately against his former team. But I'm actually a little bit sad, because I always loved the romance between Karsa and Maple, so now we're just not going to have it anymore, and Karsa going to be trying to take it out on Maple yet again, like he did at MSI earlier on. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting into the game very, very soon. RNG, let's talk about them, because you're, of course, also an LPL expert. I'm glad I get both of the other regions as an expert on the desk with me. Need all the help that I can get, so I made sure that I got Clement to start things off. But RNG, what are we looking out for? And as far as matchups into Flash Wolves?
The biggest thing RNG has put their stake in is the 5v5. They think they're the best team fighting world they're the best team fighting team in the entire world. They said this at MSI, and they said it with confidence. 90% win rate versus Kingzone. This is what Coach Kesman said, and the reason he staked it on was because of the team fighting. You flip over to Flash Wolves, 5v5 is not in their DNA. What they're known for is early skirmishing and then the tower dive, the 4v2 tower dive. So this is what Raz was talking about on the desk. It's the slow burn from RNG, and it's the fast surgical strikes coming out from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can actually land those surgical strikes, because we don't even necessarily know where all of these players are going as well. As Papa mentioned on the desk, of course, Uzi's been playing Vayne into Mundos on the top side of the map, and this is the really interesting part, because we've seen a lot of switch-ups when it comes to who plays which role and where you put people on which champions. A lot of AD carries have been going towards mages, towards bruisers, things like that. Uzi decided, hell no, I ain't doing that. The closest thing that he's done to a mage is Kennen, but he played on-hit Kennen, so it's basically AD Kennen, which is exactly the same thing as an AD carry anyway. He's just gone to other lanes.
Yeah, Uzi is the most versatile person in terms of switching up his lane assignments depending on the matchups.
And the least versatile when it comes to the style of champion that
That is true, and this is the big question, because Flash Wolves did adapt to the meta. They are playing the Vladimir, they are playing the Swain. They want to go in early and hard. Bruisers are your pick for that, but your AD carries are going to take a while to warm up.
Well, speaking of which, we are into Champions Select for game number 1. RNG will be on the blue side, Flash Wolves on the red, and Swain immediately, like you mentioned, is going to be banned away, as well as that Aurelia. Talia taken off the board here for Flash Wolves. I expect something like a Nocturne to come in next. Rakan also standing out, Morgana. There are so many champions that are well up on the priority list, and Zoe is another one.
I really like what Flash Wolves are doing here. The current way RNG is holding on to the early game is through their superior mid lane control. So if you take that away, you give a lot less time for Uzi to scale up.
Well, we'll see what Uzi's going to be able to pick up, because there's a lot of things available. The last ban here for Flash Wolves before they potentially give Karsa a Nocturne.
They're thinking about the Kai'Sa right here. If you don't ban away the Kai'Sa, there's 100% RNG. Uzi is going to take it away.
But I think the Rakan is almost more important, because you snap that up, it's versatile. You can funnel it, you can do whatever the heck you want. You put it into the bottom lane with like Ming and Uzi with one of the best joy lanes ever. I don't know, man. Camille's going to be picked up, though, as first pick.
All right, so this is RNG switching up their tactics. They did say, if you leave the Kai'Sa open, I will always pick it, but they're going back on their word a little bit. They're going instead for Mujin's head. This is what we saw at MSI. Karsa is still the better fit for Flash Wolves, in my opinion, because he is the early aggressive jungler. You think about Mujin, he's more about the Sejuani, more about the Skarner. But for Karsa, he can play harder, faster champions like the Camille, like the Xin Zhao.
Well, the Skarner is going to be locked in alongside the Vladimir. Of course, Vlad extraordinarily strong. Surprised that Morgana wasn't given a little bit more priority, as Tahm Kench being considered after the Galio insta-lock on the side of RNG. The Camille-Galio combination has always been so popular and will continue to be, as the Toad Express for the bottom side of the map has been taken by me.
Yep, RNG does like their initiations, and it also creates so much space for Uzi to really operate. This is the way they like to draft. They always hold on to Uzi's pick for later and then decide where he wants to go depending on the matchup.
Oh man, and that's going to be the Pyke locked in for Sword Art of all people. Yeah. 5th highest KDA in the league, and 3rd is occupied by Maple, and 2nd is Hanabi. The Flash Wolves definitely up there, and the Pyke, I believe, is one of his most played champions this season as well. Yeah, definitely something we really haven't seen from Sword Art, excuse me. Sword Art does like those champions that can push the lane. They are about controlling the bot lane and making dives for the bot lane. If he's going with this, though, he needs to find another place to roam. Well, we'll see what he can do. Ash is going to be the first ban here on our 2nd round. That's a really smart with a couple more. Because you don't want to give them the Ash with the Tahm Kench. This is a combo that we've been seeing in the LPL very often. It's a great catch combo. You can send the Ash in with the Abyssal Voyage and then try to CC someone. Works great when you have the Cannonball with Galio and Camille as well. So taking that away is definitely something expected. Interesting ban on the Morgana. Expecting a Morgana Pyke potentially to come out of the bottom lane of Flash Wolves. Of course, Betty has been playing almost everything but 80 carries, traditional marksman. He's got an Ezreal sneaky one in there, but otherwise it's been the Vladimir, it's been the Swain, it's been things like that. It's Ezreal, speaking of which, is going to be taken away from Uzi, the standard from the LCK with the Tahm Kench, something that Genji has been doing a heck of a lot of the time, and it's been working out very, very well for Ruler and Core JJ. Does seem like RNG are worried about Uzi's safety. If they run a strong kill lane, it's actually very hard to survive. That's what we see in an 8.12. Uzi, the best player in the world, says that he cannot deal with the situation in the bot lane. He has to go elsewhere. So we're seeing these champions being banned away that do deal with 80 carries very well in terms of the bot lane and put on a lot of kill pressure. They're trying to avoid that with these bans. Yeah, well, the Darius is going to be the final one there as Mordekaiser being considered by the Flash Wolves. Betty, just do it. Give us the Pyke Mordekaiser. It is a disgusting lane. Yeah, absolutely. This is the first time we're going to see it from them. Yep, if they do pick it, it is locked in. It is going to be the Mordekaiser Pyke for Betty and Sword Art. A treat to start us off here at Rift Rivals Asia. And RNG, I can imagine floundering a little bit. I think, Uzi, is that a beat of sweat? Yeah, because right now, he doesn't know where he wants to go. Yeah, they don't which lane am I going in? If he goes top lane, Flash Wolves still have the counter pick, and that's not a lane you want to go in everywhere. Finally, the Kai'Sa locked in. And the cheeky grin from Uzi as the crowd goes ballistic when the Vayne is hovered. Of course, he has actually played it this season. Not necessarily where you expect it to be played, but has, so it's not something that we should be scoffing at whenever he hovers it. What will RNG do now to round things out? Expecting a top laner here. Yep, Zatai has been known as the more lane dominant between him and Let Me. He has been known as a more chaotic type of player. Does like to play with his mechanics, push things a little bit, but is going to go for the safe option in the Mundo. Are we getting him already? What? Have we got reworked Aatrox in Game 1 of the Asia Rift Rivals? Is it going to happen? I don't think so. I have to say, this Aatrox has not been hotfixed and is actually very, very weak. So I don't really expect the Aatrox in the top lane in particular because he's not a very good dueler. But the Gangplank could be a mid lane, could be a top lane. Hanabi has been playing a lot. Yeah, they still got a few more seconds before they switch things up, as RNG still need to switch theirs around, but looks like it will be a pretty standard composition coming out of RNG. Very, very strong as far as just, we can move in, we can get the Camille to engage. It's pretty standard stuff that we've seen a lot. It's a lot relying on Uzi, standard RNG stuff. We're going to need him for damage in the later stages of the game. Whereas Flash Wolves, they just want to jump on top of you. They want to press all of their buttons relatively close to one another and then get the work done. Yeah, they want to go in very hard on the level 6. This is basically all their bets going into that first dragon. They've got the Gangplank for it, they got the Skarner Impale for it as well. If they can snowball that point, there might not be a late game for RNG. Yeah, exactly, because there's a dragon then in their lane. They're level 5, they can't really do anything about it, but the coaches are going to shake hands. It's very classic RNG versus a very brawl-heavy Flash Wolves that suits their early game style, but will they be surgical, Clement? Are they going to get that surgery working, or is it just going to be a whole bunch of brawlers trying to work it out?
This game really depends on the mid and jungle synergy from RNG. That's the only piece that can really move in early and punish people. They have the catch potential, they have the mobility. This is what we've been seeing from RNG. Bot lane Uzi, you go find farm as much as you can, you scale up. Mid lane Shahu and Karsa, we're going to try to keep this game alive. But if they don't get that early snowball, if they don't get that level 6, it's actually a very hard composition to run all the way till the late game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Flash Wolves don't have a lot of power in the mid lane to start this off. And Maple often has something that can be explosive, something that can really get the game moving tempo-wise for the Flash Wolves. Now he's on the Vladimir, and he's into the brick wall that is Galio. He's not going to be able to affect the game like that.
It's not a pick that can control lane by himself, but it's very powerful in terms of the first item spike and the first team fight at the Dragon. So this is a very hyper-focused composition coming out from Flash Wolves. We're going to see if it works or if it fails by 15 minutes.
Yeah, and level 2 for Karsa is so incredibly strong as well. So if he wants to land a pretty strong punch on the Flash Wolves, he can start early on this Camille and will then move into the late game as that Camille bomb that can throw a gargoyle right into the middle of an enemy team and get things messed up. But ladies and gentlemen, we are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of Rift Rivals Asia. RNG versus Flash Wolves, the number 1 seeds from the LPL and the LMS. Okay. Not seeing very many shenanigans very early on.
Ooh, you might want to rephrase that. We do see RNG going to level 1.
Mate, you know?
Yeah, the 30 gold is nice in the early game.
Oh, nailed it. Sharing, Shahu and Uzi. And man, I've missed the LPL. It's been a while since I've been back there. Most people probably forget that I was ever an LPL commentator, but it's exciting. Now back in China, back casting some LPL action with some LMS thrown in there. Oh, reminds me of the glory days.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing the level 1 coming in from RNG already. This is a strategy they popularized in the MSI. They always go for the red buff when they are on the blue side. And we actually might see a lane swap coming out here. Zatai, in fact, is going towards the bot lane.
It's adorable. He's going to take some popcorn chickens down there, utilizing his ukulele to take them down. And we're going to have Betty meet up with him. See, Betty taking a little bit of time getting to lane, giving all of that experience over to Mordekaiser, which is weird because he gets all of the experience anyway.
Yeah, here's the big question, though. Do they swap back to prevent the first Dragon going over to the Flash Wolves? Because this is how the strategy works. This is how they snowball turrets off of you. Now, RNG, this is not the first time we've seen a Kai'Sa being played into the top lane, and we should talk about the adaptations here. We are seeing the fleet footwork being taken, even though it's been heavily nerfed, and you usually see the press the attack. That's the adaptation that Uzi has made. He's gone for a lot more sustain in terms of his rune setups just to survive the different lanes.
Yeah, despite the fact that it has been nerfed just a little bit as well. So interested to see whether it is going to work, because the Flash Wolves, if they have control of a lane like this, can clear minion waves extraordinarily
fast. Look at Zatai. He's getting 0 farm so far, only picking up 2 from the Raptor camp, actually.
Yeah, and look, this lane is extraordinarily sustainable as well on the side of the Flash Wolves. They can tank minion waves for almost forever, given the fact that you've got the Iron Man passive coming out of the Mordekaiser. I don't know whether this is necessarily the best strategy on the side of RNG, but we'll see whether it works out, because they're also trying to zone Hanabi on the top side.
We have seen this before, but for RNG, they don't have any fortification in the bottom side tower. So that does mean that it takes 50% more damage in the first 5 minutes. This is going to be a losing trade for them, but we have seen them do it before.
Oh, Zatai, the sneaky devil, standing in experience range. There we go. Well, Swordart's actually going to look for him. Can he actually
get out of this, though?
That's going to be first turret going solo gold over to Betty as well. And remember, this guy's been playing the bruises. He's still been doing 30% of his team's damage. He's more than happy to step off his 80 carries and head towards something like the Mordekaiser, even if he hasn't played it in the LMS regular season just yet.
Yeah, Betty has been the main carry for the Flash Wolves for quite a while now. Actually, Maple has been more of the initiator, been more of the distraction to allow Betty room to really pull his damage off. We're seeing the difference here, but the big thing is Hanabi still sitting at level 1. No farm really taken from the lanes itself. How are they going to get him back in the game, especially when RNG is freezing the bot?
Well, I don't know, but I think it's all about Betty. I think it's all about getting this Mordekaiser a dragon by the time he hits that level 6, and they are going to lane swap. And that's going to be tempo advantage going over to Flash Wolves. They've picked up 800 gold in the lead as a part of that. And we've got a Kleptomancy Gangplank as well. I mean, you can starve him, but he'll still go to a lane and shoot minions and get money.
Look at what Karsa is doing here. He's expecting the rotation from Hanabi, and he's trying to cut him off. Like, I have to say, Flash Wolves did not plan that bottom wave well enough. They did not push it and make it rebound. So now, like, Hanabi is stuck in a very, very bad position. We've never seen someone level 5 minutes in and still sitting at level 1.
And he's actually going to find Karsa on the wrong side of the jungle, as he's going to spot him. The level 1 Gangplank. This is exactly not where you want to be, and that is going to be first blood going to Karsa.
Hanabi, knowing his own demise, holds onto his flash. There's nothing that he could have done there, and this is going very, very wrong for Flash Wolves. Just that one mistake in the bot lane, not bouncing the wave, not thinking about how to play the lane swap, because it's been so long since teams have had to face against this.
Well, this top lane is exactly what Flash Wolves wanted from the draft and have finally got it, even if it is a little bit upside down. First bone skewer did land onto Ming, but otherwise not too much of a problem, as Mujin is just going to walk with Hanabi towards this bottom side. It's a tie. They're actually still considering a dive. This is a dangerous one, but he's level 5. He's picked up so much farm. Stun comes in with a good fracture as Xiaohu just zoning Maple away from this fight. Karsa very, very low and very squishy. Flash Wolves and RNG back away.
Yeah, they did have to pay the price for that first kill on Hanabi, unfortunately unable to zone him away from this giant wave. If they managed to get this wave out of Hanabi's experience pool, the game was done. It was just finished right there. But, you know, I think it was a worthwhile risk for Karsa to go down there, Mujin reading out the play, and helping his teammate out.
Well, we haven't looked at the mid lane. We sort of, Maple wandered down with Xiaohu towards the bottom side of the map, but that was about it. It's just going to be a farm fest at the moment. First item going to be that blasting one picked up by Xiaohu as he teleported back to lane. So Tai just going to wander past as Karsa goes back home. We'll see what he can actually pick up with his first blood money, but he's down in gold a fair bit as far as the minion score is concerned.
We
So
still
we'll
have
see
to
what that
look at
actually
this
means.
wave, though. It's still pushing towards RNG, and if I was a tie, I have every reason to basically keep this wave in this position. Deny all the farm possible from the Gangplank at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised if they send Karsa again to the bot lane to try to get to keep Hanabi under. Like, he has nowhere to go on the map right now. Like, even though the Karsa dive failed, they did manage to bounce away.
Well, I feel like they should definitely go towards the dragon. Xiaohu, he's going to run away. Bit of damage coming in here, but Betty's level 6, and they want to adopt a dragon. That's the Mordekaiser strat. They're not exactly keeping it a secret either, as they just wander him through the mid lane.
Should be an easy take here. No contest coming out from RNG. As the Mordekaiser, you do gain 13 extra experience in a duo lane. So you'll always hit level 6 first, and that means you can always snowball that into a dragon. It's actually very hard to contest it, and I think the LCK has been the best region at doing that. We have teams like Africa and also KT at this tournament who are known for their Mordekaiser play.
Yeah, Deft has been a phenomenal Mordekaiser so far in the LCK. Speaking of the dragon, he's going to start doing some work here on this mid lane outer turret. Xiaohu taking a bit of damage from him as well, which is a bit of a bother. Thankfully, he doesn't have a Rylai's yet, so the slow doesn't come out from the dragon's auto attacks, which is extraordinarily unfair. Still get fortification, though, if the dragon's around, so you don't want to waste him just shooting at a turret that doesn't take very much damage.
Level 6 from Mujin.
Yeah, he's looking for it. Flash does come in, the 2-for-1 special, as they bring back the Tahm Kench. Grey health is eaten, but there's the Hemo play. Can they do enough? Looks like no, as the Tai's going to teleport in. Yes!
Oh, he does.
Actually, it is. The pop with the Hemo play did so much work, as Swordart jumps his way forward, and that's going to deny any retaliation from RNG.
Yep, so they do find the pick on Ming. That looked a bit haphazard. Mujin actually Mujin went straight in, but we did see the rest of Flash Wolves kind of not really sure if they wanted to go in on that, the last tick of Hemo Plague and
the Grey health wearing off was the big deal there. Popped the last bit of health bar. Looked like he should have definitely survived, but you don't get all of that shielding for all that long. They even things out. Flash Wolves now wondering where to strike next.
They do have a lot of...
Oh, that was close.
Close try. Flash Wolves do have a lot of fighting power in terms of the 5v5 at this point. I do expect them to try to pick up this Herald and maybe crack open the mid lane. Remember, we don't have banners anymore in this patch, so the Herald is actually even more valuable for a Bruiser composition.
Yeah, need every help they can get as far as sieging things out. But Betty and Sword Art going to do what they can as far as clearing out this mid wave and continuing that tempo advantage that Flash Wolves did manage to pick up themselves with the first turret. Speaking of which, this could be a massive problem for the Flash Wolves. Mugen going down, but can they retaliate? Bone Skewer comes in, Caster with the stopwatch, but it may not be enough. Deep Water Dive comes in. Oh, messes up the hook shot, and that's going to be Hanabi with a much-needed kill.
Yep, that's just a kill trade, 1-for-1 between Karsa and the jungle of Mugen right there. It was a good attempt, but Maple was already heading down the lane, and a failed hook shot coming out from Karsa. He could have ran away there.
Yeah, and it's not done yet. It's a good taunt from Xiaohu to try and stave this one off, as Hanabi can't tank this turret for much longer. RNG still under there as Karsa doing battle against the team. It's like old Flash Wolves, but it's not.
That's actually brought a tear to my eye, but we're never going to see that again. Zatai trying to find something off the back, doesn't land any of the infected cleavers, and just has to back off right there. I think that was a good opportunity. They did have the Ghost to tank a bit of the damage from the tower, and of course did force a teleport as well.
It's the sort of thing that you might need to do as well if you can't actually siege things out, as we have a look at Mugen getting caught. The flash taunt, always a doozy.
Yep, that was a good layering of CC right there. No chance for Mugen to actually get out, but if you look at the map, Zatai is being stuck down by Maple, and that's the critical failure from Karsa right there. The hookshot does have extended range when you hit it towards champions, but when there's no other enemy champions on the other side, a lot of times it can be a bit difficult to actually land over walls.
Well, Maple is taking up shop on the top side of the map. The flexibility of a Vladimir, absolutely fantastic here for the Flash Wolves that want to be controlling what this map is doing as far as side lanes. But Uzi, all this time, has just been farming every minion ever.
Oh yeah, he's actually sitting pretty at over 100 CS at this point, and I think Zatai is the big one you have to look at. This is going to change the dynamics, so RNG might actually have a stronger 5v5 when it comes to the next Dragon, just because of that Mundo.
Yeah, 80 CS to 36. I mean, Kleptomancy does do a lot for you, and Gangplank is very good at making money, but if you've only killed 36 minions, there's just not a lot you can really do about that one.
Yeah, we're probably not even paying taxes at that point.
Yeah, it's just rough. It's real rough. Clearing out some vision though. Mugen gonna get down his control ward and try and take down this Rift Herald. We've got Karsa down here. It looks like this bottom outer turret will go with the help of Uzi.
Such is the life of a top laner for Flash Wolves. It doesn't matter if you're MMD or Hanabi. You're there to sacrifice yourself and wait for the wave.
Yep. That's why Steak left, I think. He's gone over to China. He's doing some coaching now.
Actually, he's instilling that philosophy on Mouse, so...
oh no!
Not much has changed.
Sounds like revenge to me. Not good news. Although Mouse, he was copying that one on EDG as well. It doesn't matter which team. There's a Cannon Barrage doing its best to try and get rid of this minion wave, but can it even do it?
I think
not.
He can.
Oh yeah, there we are. The last round, that's going to be there. But is the fortification enough, is the question. As Hanabi moves over, Void Seeker not to find him, as the ultimate right in there from Uzi, but he just flashes, gets himself out of the way.
Oh,
and Shelly, that was a relatively unnecessary charge. I probably would have used her in the mid lane, but that's all right. They're going to clear out this wave and get a second charge on the inhibitor turret. New and improved Shelly, pretty damn good at that too.
Flash Wolves trying to equalize. RNG did take 2 towers in a row in terms of the bot lane, and that Shelly first hit onto the first tower will actually cost him 500 damage on the next hit. So a bit of mistake there in terms of timing and communication coming out from the Flash Wolves.
And those mid lanes are still standing for both teams as well. Top lane outer very, very low for RNG if they want to even things out.
We do have to remember, RNG with their ADC, they do have a much higher win rate in terms of the late game. Sure, marksmen in the early game, they have less attack damage, they can't do much on their own, but when it comes to 3 items, they're still king. We did a stat rundown where it was over 80% win rate for those teams with ADCs triple items against a team that doesn't have an ADC.
But there's a Mordekaiser. So all you need to do is kill Uzi with the ultimate, and then you get a 6v4 with an 80 carry.
That's actually I think that's actually brilliant. Now that you mention it, this is
and
a
when
perfect
you've got
counter
Impale,
RNG.
it's pretty fantastic. We need QSS to be built up by Uzi as the Dragon being started. Teleport going to be invested very early in this fight. As Zatai seeing what he can do. Maple right in the backline. Hemoplague already down, and they've got a Dragon in this fight as well. That is huge. Hero's entrance comes in for Xiao, but will it actually work as Impale brings in Zatai, and Betty grabs that kill. He can't actually use his ultimate because there's a big old Dragon there, but another good fight for Flash Wolves.
Absolutely godlike zoning from Maple right there, keeping Uzi out of the fight the entire way. And unfortunately for Xiaohu, when he came into the fight, the hero's entrance did not get a single knock-up. There was really no CC and no damage to follow that up, and they sacrificed a tie in the end.
Unfortunate stuff. Dragon just going to be moved around a little bit by Betty. We know Mordekaiser players, that's all they like to do. It's just microing the Dragon. It's the most fun you can have with Mordekaiser, so you have to really hold it dear. Those 70 seconds of life, or however many. Let's have a look at this fight again and have a look at the Galio coming in and not really achieving much.
Yep, the original fight did start with Maple coming into the backline, Hemoplague onto Uzi, no damage coming out from RNG yet. Karsa can't get the steal, Mujin takes the Cloud Drake away, and then Zatai and Xiaohu are in very awkward positions. We do see the your cut coming out from the Pyke there.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate, a little bit late on the old X marks the spot.
I will say RNG is keeping themselves very well in this game. If you're running this Flash Wolves composition, you want to be up 3K, 5K towards the 30-minute mark. Staying even with RNG does not put you on a good footing come late game.
Well, that's true, and often, I mean, especially with our experience in the LCK, Mordekaiser compositions, if you fall behind, you stay behind.
Yep.
It's just not a lot of comeback mechanics from the old Mord, but he does have a couple of dragons that he managed to pick up. They've picked up a bunch of turrets as well. There are places for this Mord to farm, and he has done a decent job at that, as we see. It looks like it was the Riley's Crystal Scepter build coming out as far as first item here for Betty. Seen a few different options, things like the Zhonya's Hourglass for solo laning, and other things like Banner of Command when you could buy it.
Yep.
Not to be the case now. 100 gold is the lead, so practically nothing with 3 dragons in the back pocket of Flash Wolves.
You see the Liandry's as well, trying to get that slow onto Uzi with the ultimate so they can follow up with the damage. I think your concept of taking out Uzi as the first target really makes a lot of sense. RNG, their only damage dealer in the late game, is pretty much going to be the Uzi. So it's about how well they can protect their main carry and how well Flash Wolves can penetrate the composition.
Yeah, and Killer Instinct, you know, pretty good, keeping you a little bit safer. Uzi does have options, as now we've got the engage from RNG. Already getting rid of Sword Art as Mujin. He goes golden so he can see his death, and that's the double kill coming in for Karsa.
Oh, and with that move, Karsa is going to be able to pick up his Triforce relatively early, and going all in onto Uzi might not be the best solution anymore. These are some very fed members on RNG. I think they've weathered the storm.
Well, thank goodness there are only 2 assists onto Uzi, but if he can get a few auto attacks stacked up, that Rage Blade's going to be a real problem. Nashor's Tooth looking like it is going to be on the way, which is the way Kai'Sa has been built more recently.
Yep.
But still, there are definitely teamfight wombo combos that Flash Wolves can employ to try and win themselves a fight. It's not a lot of out-positioning you can do as Uzi, when it's Hemoplague's pretty easy to land. Cannon Barrage means you can't stand there, and they're jumping on top of you with Mordekaiser shields that are doing a fair bit of damage, given the fact that he's 1-0-1 with a decent amount of farm.
Yeah, the big one, of course, is still the Impale flash in from Mujin as well. There's all their sights of Flash Wolves being onto Uzi and his Kai'Sa in this game. However, I will say RNG still, again, I think they're sitting very comfortably. They can drag this game out. And for Flash Wolves, okay. Whoa. Replayception.
We're just going to watch Hanabi though as Mujin. He's predatoring, looking for someone. Doesn't get on to Zatai as we're getting some, it's the audio replay for all you audiobook people in the chat. I haven't actually, haven't heard a League of Legends audiobook so far.
Dom can probably work on that.
Really?
Oh yeah, he
I'll have a chat.
He's a great Dungeon Master as well.
I know he is. We used to get that when he was back in the Oceanic region a while back. Mujin just love taps the Blue Sentinel before he gets his pylon back.
Can talk about some of the interactions here. The Sword Art Pyke execution does go through shielding of Tahm Kench, so we commonly do see Pyke picked up as a counter against him.
That Grey Health not going to be helpful.
Nope, not at all. No shields, no Grey Health will save you from the HP execution. That will come in handy late game when Ming is trying to give his life up for Uzi.
Not to mention Uzi as well. I mean, if Uzi goes down very low and then uses the ultimate, gets all of the help from the rest of his team in potentially things like Locket of the Iron Solari, things like that, that won't matter if Death from Below flies forward. However, Uzi pretty good at dodging abilities, and Death from Below really hard to land, man. How much have you played much Pyke? Because
I've seen enough of it.
Oh, I'm not very good at landing that ultimate. It trolls me every time.
Yeah, it's a really
I'm like,
weird
guys, let me
hitbox.
get the kill. I'll give you the full gold for it. And they're like, yeah, you can land it? No,
We've never seen,
guys,
like,
I actually can't.
The X is, you kind of end up like on the right side of the X a little bit,
Yeah.
and the image is on like the left side a little bit.
There's something frustrating about the
Yeah.
hitbox. I'm
It's
going to
like a
complain about the
pixel or two off.
hitbox and not my inability to land skill shots.
Yeah, that's what good League of Legends players always do.
Yeah, I think that's the right strategy. Is speaking of right strategy, RNG looking to try and keep down the gangplank. Does at least have a Trinity Force, building towards what could be Asterix. Will most likely be.
Yep. Is going to get a lot less out of that combination now that Sterix does move to bonus damage instead of base damage. So you're losing about like 100 hit per shot, which is the Storm Razors being a very common pickup for the gameplay as well in terms of late game. Does give you that guaranteed crit onto the barrels.
Yeah. Wanting that first barrel to really hurt, but that's going to be the third dragon. Seems like RNG just don't care about having big ethereal dragons running around the rift in the hands of Mordekaiser. They're instead just going to be on the other side of the map as Karsa is going to get himself out with a hook shot to tie. He's just, I don't know, I think he's like the personal band of Karsa. He's just been playing his banjo while Karsa's been counter jungling. Like, it's basically been his job so far this game, but he has picked up a whole bunch of farm whilst doing it.
Yep, he is the winning part of the map right now, and I think RNG are fine with giving up most of these drakes, unless they're Infernal Drakes. They can teamfight Flash Wolves.
The dragon's been caught!
Oh.
And that's
Poor
a kill
Drake.
going over to RNG.
I'm upset.
Is that their first dragon of the game? I think it is. I don't think they killed the other one.
Nah, probably died to tower instead.
Yeah, I think so. So, first dragon to RNG. Congratulations. Still going to keep things extraordinarily even. 300 gold. In the lead is RNG versus the Flash Wolves, who were controlling the game tempo-wise early on and have now slipped back a little bit. It's only really Maple that's been impressive as far as keeping up in the laning phase, but Shahu very good on this particular champion of just sitting back, trying to protect the rest of his team. RNG in a very comfortable spot.
Flash Wolves with 2 critical mistakes early on.
Oh, so
the Bone Skewer was short, didn't really have it go off.
That was a bone toothpick, my friend. Not a great one.
Yeah, it's more like a bone thrust. That's it.
Yeah.
Didn't really throw it out. Flash Wolves, they didn't bounce the wave in the bottom lane. And of course, they gave up 2 kills over to Karsa, diversifying their carry options for the late game on RNG's side. And right now, if I'm Flash Wolves, I really want to find a pick on the map. I really want to get things going. I'm not seeing a lot of future for Betty in terms of being this big bruiser going up against Kaisa, who's well protected.
Well, speaking of Karsa, he's going to flash right on top of Hanabi. He's inside the ultimate and just can't get anything done. Stopwatch is there. It's cute, but it's not going to be enough, and Shahu grabs the kill.
450 gold, and RNG with the better late game composition, also going into the 1-3-1 as well. Things are looking very dire for the Flash Wolves, and honestly, RNG don't have to do anything. They can let this tempo sit. They can wait for 3 items. The onus is completely on Flash Wolves to make a move.
Do you know what's weird? This feels like a Kaisa funnel because of the amount of farm that Uzi has, but it's not a Kaisa funnel.
Oh, that's just normal RNG.
It's just a bit Uzi at the moment. I feel like funnel comps don't necessarily... The reason it didn't work against IG is because they just don't need to do it. They shouldn't have done it. That game that they lost, the only game that they lost for the last however many weeks, probably just shouldn't have happened.
Funnel compositions do come with their own weaknesses. If you're running them mid, a lot of times the marksman early game cannot face the 2v2. So if the other 2v2 is more aggressive, if they have something like a Camille, it's actually really easy to go wrong with it.
Yeah, but you just lane swap, apparently, and you keep the gangplank behind forever, and then everything should be okay. But he does have Asterix. He has picked up a whole bunch of farm as well, in comparison to what he managed to get earlier on. As far as, CS per minute post 15 minutes, I think Hanabi's been doing a phenomenal job. Still not enough to catch up, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he was doing a phenomenal job. I would say that RNG are just giving all the gold to Uzi.
I mean, I'm just meant the fact that he had 25 CS at 15 minutes, something like that. Right. It was not going very well for the old Hanabi. So, I mean, now, feeling a little bit better. 2 items. It's 2 items that he may not have necessarily deserved, given his early game experience.
That was a really smart idea to lane swap coming out from RNG's side, taking away Flash Wolves' main weapon, the 4v2 tower dive in the bot lane. We didn't see a single situation of that come up.
This wind-up Pirate has really had a rough time. There's just been so many bad guys in and around any lane that he's in. And we've now got the Bash brothers of a different variety in Xiaohu and Kasa just walking around together, wanting to get that Hextech entrance on top of everyone. And by everyone, I mean Hanabi.
Yeah, he's still running with his flash, but of course no stopwatch. Cannot
I just love how his like run animation is so weird. And he's just going to get killed once again. They've got it off cooldown. Does at least have the cannon barrage this time. Impale flies through. Oh, Ming! Beautiful use of the Devour to save Kasa, but he may have sacrificed himself. He has. It's going to be the ult coming down from Sword Art. Not sure whether that was actually able to give any gold over to anyone. I don't think it was, but Maple secures the kill. Now Flash Wolves with a man advantage for a little while. See what they can do with it. 25 minutes into the game. Baron an opportunity.
They're setting their eyes on Baron. They're at least hinting at doing it just to draw RNG out. So potentially another pick coming out of this move, but RNG are calling the bluff. They're saying, hey, we don't think you have the power to take Baron right now. We're going to go for another Hanabi kill.
Well, there's lots of pings from everyone. Instead, it's going to be Flash Wolves going home, not wanting to risk any Baron takes, and I feel like not wanting to risk has really been the MO for Flash Wolves this game. They haven't been able to push advantages as well as they'd want to. Being able to grab every single dragon with a Mordekaiser should mean you can create more of that tempo advantage, but RNG have just not cared at all. They've just been somewhere else and just let their towers fall and taken something else.
Sword Art is looking for another engage, but doesn't look like it's going to come very easily. RNG, I think they gave Flash Wolves no opportunities. Once they got into the middle of the game, they started splitting the map up. They sent Zatai onto the split push duty, coupled with Karsa, and they made sure that Flash Wolves didn't really have any chance to group up and be the aggressors on the map. So very smart split pushing coming out from RNG, something we don't see from a lot of LPL teams.
Yeah. Well, one thing we do see a lot of is Uzi taking a hell of a lot of farm. So 320 at 26 minutes. That ain't bad. Third, Cloud Drake. That's also fantastic when you've got a lot of champions that are pretty keen on move speed. Of course, Skarner, Vladimir, Mordekaiser, all of them. Absolutely love to be able to run a bit faster, get themselves into fights a little bit better. And that is 3 Cloud Drakes to help them do that with a dragon on top of it to boot. Can they utilize it though? It's still 500 gold the difference here this game. I know you're looking ominously at Uzi and his farm, but you're also looking at this dragon being carted over to a Baron.
Oh, Flash Wolves
which is my favorite thing to do.
In. They want to fight right now, and they're going to use the Baron position to get it going.
That's a really high health ward as well that they've got. As far as that dragon.
Already starting it.
Yep, we've got triple teleports available if RNG want to reposition, but it looks like we are going to pull off Flash Wolves. This is exactly what they want to do. They want to find a person, they want to jump on top of them. Xiaohu just out of the way of that Bone Skewer. Sword Art still looking for more, but they decide not to pull the trigger.
Yeah,
Flash Wolves need to make some choices, man.
They would have been massacred right there if they actually continued to do Baron, so I like the turnaround. The problem there was Sword Art missed 2 Bone Skewers in a row. If they got any one of those, they could have got the pick and maybe clean up the Baron afterwards. But unfortunately for them, skill shots don't land, plan doesn't work.
Well, you got another Infernal Drake because we took that dragon so early. We will have 5 in this game. Flash Wolves, that's only one more opportunity before you've got big old Elder Dragons to take around the map. Before RNG, I mean, they could just deal with it, man. Like, I just feel like it's getting too much. Flash Wolves have to make a choice. They have to find a pick, and they have to make a decisive play.
This is something that I have always criticized of Flash Wolves in big, long tournaments. They basically always shot call worse. They're always very timid on their first days coming into a big event like this. And with this composition, if Uzi gets 3 items, there's no way you're going to win the game.
Hey, guess what? Uzi has 3 items.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 28 minutes.
Well, I mean, I don't think Skarner can stand up from the damage that the plasma stacks are going to be coming out from.
Dude, I don't know whether the whole team can stand up to the damage. I feel like just a Q from Uzi is going to be wrecking the Flash Wolves here. They really need to make sure that they lock him down. But with Mercurial's Scimitar already built up, he can get rid of the Impale as soon as it goes down, so that's no longer an option. And yes, Children of the Grave stays on you now that the QSS cleanse has been changed. But I just don't know whether it's going to be good enough as Caster's going to jump in. They do have the Hextech ultimatum. They use it now. Hero's entrance comes down as well as Betty keeps himself alive for so long, but not long enough as Uzi finally on the board when it comes to the kills. Maple trying to get rid of him though as there he goes.
Does fall down.
Uzi gets taken down by the Hemo Plague. It's a double kill for Maple as Xiaohu. He's going to get the taunt off, but that's not what he wants to do. He doesn't want anyone touching him. He's so incredibly low. The slow, the fracture, and Flash Wolf should get Baron.
Flash Wolves take down the fight 1 for 4. That was a good initiation coming out from RNG. Great, perfect timing, and even better play from Maple. Going into the back line and making sure Uzi was dead.
Well,
don't screw your lands.
That's going to be a pretty easy one here if they can get Zatai to stop healing himself back up so damn quickly. He's lasting so long. Can he actually find it? No, he can't. The Mundo's going to go down, but has he bought enough time so that Flash Wolves cannot do the Baron? It looks like the answer's yes, and that is a huge deal.
Yeah, if I'm Zatai, I'm calling Worth right there, because no Baron from Flash Wolves means that they have no tower-taking power at all. I can continually scale up Uzi and just wait for the late game to go on. So massive play there by Zatai.
The really scary thing is that the Vladimir did so much work.
He killed Uzi through Ming. With the Devourer on him, the damage tick,
and it's not even a flank. He just flashed forward, killed Caster, and then got him as a second thought.
And he had the Hemo. The exhaust was on him already, but he still had the damage to go through Uzi.
Yeah, and Ming actually ate Uzi in the end.
Yeah.
It's very depressing. But in the end, Flash Wolves' decisive team fight. 2-2-7 even for the Gangplank, who's got himself that Stormrazor that you were talking about earlier. It'll probably be a Guardian Angel coming in next. We're getting to late game Gangplank territory, whether you like it or not.
Pretty
RNG?
Much. I have to say, I still think RNG does have the edge in terms of the team fights, but they need to position correctly. They cannot walk up ramps anymore. Baron take again by Flash Wolves.
Oh, it goes down extremely low, but they get the teleport, and there's the Bone Skewer onto Ming. A perfect target. They get rid of the Tahm Kench, but can they get more? Cannon Barrage comes down, all of the AoE ults on top of each other, as that's a huge source opportunity. Huge for Caster. Uzi is getting a lot of work done. He picks up the first kill onto Maple, but now Xiaohu, he's gone golden. He's going to get taken out, and Uzi cannot get back in the fight.
Unfortunate for RNG, once again they separate their front line from their back line in an attempt to get a pincer from Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves very cleverly recognizes this and just goes straight for the back line of RNG, and they're caught out of position. Karsa and Xiaohu were not there to really buff up the front line for RNG and allow them to team fight. I've been saying this over and over again, but RNG do have a better late game 5v5 team fighting position, but they do need to be in formation.
Yeah, well, they certainly weren't for that last fight. Uzi only falling down once, 2-1-2 now. Building towards his next item. Could be a Banshee's Veil, actually, based on what he has in his back pocket, but we'll have to see when he decides to finish that one off. But it all does come down to Uzi. His late game team fighting always been fantastic. That's what we know this team for, but Flash Wolves, despite all expectation as far as comp is concerned, are now further ahead. Now looking for a Baron yet again. Tanabe is going to come back from base. He's got a BF sword. That Guardian Angel is getting closer and closer if that's what he wants to pick up.
Oh, this is the big one. The second Infernal Drake. RNG have to go for this. I do not want to see Mordekaiser with double Infernal.
But they've only got 2 members here. We've got a Cannon Barrage. It's not even available yet from Hanabi, thankfully. They moved themselves out of the way. They're looking to try and get themselves a pick. Instead, they're right on top of the Mundo, but Hero's entrance comes down. It's not who they want to engage on. Justice Punch is interrupted, but Maple is now right in the middle, and Uzi right off to the side. They're trying to get damage in whilst keeping their eyes on him, and they do so successfully. Xiaohu goes down first. Bone Skewer comes in. Zatai is dead, executed with death from below.
Pike with the finish, and Flash Wolves are on their way towards the Baron.
They're actually just going to take down an inhibitor, I think. They feel like they've got enough. Uzi's protection has been taken down. Those big, beefy tanks for the front line no longer there, as Caster's getting zoned from his own base. In goes Swordart, gets himself another one. Ming, he's going to go down. Hanabi as well, utilizing the ult.
If they get one more pick on Uzi, slow goes down.
Boom goes the Dynamite with the Hemo Plague. And Flash Wolves might be able to just win, teleport to keep the minion alive.
48 seconds
As
on
he's
Uzi, there's
looking
no
for
way.
Casa, Eats Oranges, he's gonna BK. The ace comes in for the Flash Wolves. They'll take the inhibitor, and they're looking for the game.
Flash Wolves coming in with the revenge on Karsa. Sure, he had the better early game, but he did sacrifice a lot of his experience. Flash Wolves with the worst 5v5 comp, consistently finding picks onto RNG's composition.
Just fighting in the right places as well. It was so good from Flash Wolves. They always made RNG come to them. The Infernal Drake. That last one was so important for Flash Wolves. RNG knew they tried to catch them there. Who was catching who? Looked like Flash Wolves just won the game off it. Just beautiful play, understanding where you need to fight to make your team a better team fighting team.
And this game was just a game of missed opportunities from RNG. They had the good 5v5. They never got their formation together. They were too concerned about making picks into the Baron pit itself. The front line was not there where it needed to be. You guys are having Uzi on the roster. You want to protect your Kaisa for the late game. Unable to do that, and they fall to Flash Wolves in a stunning opener for the Rift Rivals.
And now looking at MSI, looking at the fact that the tiebreaker was won by RNG, now this year you've got 2-2 for Flash Wolves RNG. Excited to see whether these teams are going to face off again here at Rift Rivals. Yep. But Flash Wolves reigns supreme when it locks down 2-2.
We have another rivalry brewing on the Rift right now. Two teams going head-to-head, meeting each other so many times in 1 year, sharing the same players, the same stories, and finally bringing some success to the LMS. So something that we did not actually expect. A lot of people were saying that this was probably the weakest LMS Rift Rivals yet. Last time they had no expectations, but LMS...
That's what happens when there's no expectations. LMS blow everyone out of the water, Clement. You should know better than all of us.
I know, but every time I fall for it, Flash Wolves always perform inverse to their expectations.
Maybe it's you. Maybe it's just your expectations.
I'm very grim. I didn't think they would win anything. Oh, man.
As long as Clement doesn't think so, they're going to do it. And they did indeed. Managed to pick up the 4 first dragons, sorted out their Mordekaiser. We had 4 ethereal dragons on Summoner's Rift today. And yes, it was very close. RNG even had a lead, but Flash Wolves, they flat out didn't care.
Flash Wolves took down the best team fighting team in the world. This is the name that RNG have actually given to themselves, but they weren't able to stand up to Flash Wolves. And this actually answers a really important question. We have not seen Mordekaiser bot lanes in the LPL at all. The reason being, people saying that Uzi will punish you too hard in lane. But this doesn't seem to be the case because Uzi lane swapped.
Yeah, they didn't even lane against it. And it was Uzi that lane swapped. He decided he didn't want to have to deal with it. I don't know whether Mordekaiser is necessarily a champion that you need to deal with if you're Uzi. Why was he worried? Why didn't they just take it to the 2v2? Not entirely sure, but Pyke Mordekaiser proving itself to be absolutely disgusting on the map. It's working out for me and SoloQ, working out here for Flash Wolves as well, as Betty and Sword Art looked brilliant. But guys, for more on that match, let's throw it back to the desk.
Thank you guys, and wow, an upset in game 1. I asked you, and you said, hey, it's the guy with the trophy, you got to put your stock in.
And can it be a better tournament where the reigning world champions lose in the first game?
Oh, yeah.
For the Chinese local fans, yes, it's definitely the answer. Sorry, guys. But for this tournament, the excitement now is here because now anything is possible. Now the ledger is open in so many different ways. This is a really hype way to start. And also, you really did see regional tendencies of LPL, very standard meta, very much the ranged AD carry, the Kaisa priority. We all saw it coming. Apparently, so did Flash Wolves.
Yeah, it was a different take on flexibility because, as we talked about, the composition was going to come true. It's just how they dealt with it within the laning phase. We talked about how Flash Wolves, their strategy, go fast, go early. The Mordekaiser in the bottom lane, that was phenomenal to see from it. The pick ban immediately on your screen is what
so
takes
interesting.
You. It's so much to take away from. I'll start with RNG.
Okay.
Because RNG, that's a takeaway from Gauching, last Rift Rivals. WE comes in with a composition, Galio, Jarvan, Kog'Maw. It's the same vibe, essentially. Galio, Camille, keep them inside the circle. That's your team fight setting. You have a Kaisa in the back dealing damage. It's very cookie cutter, very much centric around Kaisa needs to be protected at all time in these team fights. Don't know how that's going to happen when you have the GP and Vladimir on the opposite side. That's my major question.
And the thing is, you look on the right side and you see, where did this draft come from? The big takeaway here is Vladimir's power, because what we see in the LCK so much with our bot laners, our traditional AD carries being willing to flex over to Swain Vladimir, is a lot of first rounds where Vlad or Swain is taken, and the enemy says, Do we commit to what we're going to do, or do we have to start countering what they're implying they might do? And suddenly, one false move and things can really come unglued. It's why Rakan gets banned. I know the casters were a bit wondering about the Rakan ban, and Atlas said, but what if Rakan is flexed to mid lane? The funnel can come through. So you already have so many what-ifs that you're playing with, and then the late Mordekaiser and Gangplank, sure, the Gangplank might have been played interestingly in the early game. Together, when it came to the word scaling, which is always a bit of a dirty word, when you think of the late game, does Kai'Sa beat Vladimir and GP? I think the answer was clearly no.
Yeah, and the biggest takeaway is when it comes to these team fights, it's just the zoning power of not only those members, but Pyke as well. Sword Art had a phenomenal game in these team fights, always positioning towards Kai'Sa. Because the only damage source in those team fights were going to be the Kai'Sa, and being able to push Kai'Sa away from it, especially when they had the flank ready and enabled, it was just no way Uzi was going to have impact.
There's so much for us to unload, but we got to show some replays.
Exactly. So we've actually got to get, I think, into the early game first and talk about how that shook out, because RNG, they seem to have identified this early on. They knew they wanted to play for the late game. They ran from the Mordekaiser and initiated that lane swap, and the person who ended up the worst for it was Hanabi. He was, what, 1 CS at 4 minutes, and then he took a bit of a poor pathing choice down to his 1 safe turret.
Yeah. It was, look, the early game was really interesting. The thought process was clear. Let's get out of the Mordekaiser lane. We don't see that in the LPL. Let's avoid it. So that part you understand. The turret goes down very early, but you mentioned it, Raz. The no bouncing of the wave meant the wave was in a terrible spot, and coming down to the wave this time, it looked a bit awkward.
Yeah, and back when I was a coach, like, that was when you have the most practice on the role swap, lane swapping. And so lane
when was
swapping,
that, sorry? How many years ago are we talking?
I'd say 2 years ago.
And that's not a flame too. It's just this strategy is out of mind for so many of these players.
And so a lot of the basics of it, of pushing it into tower, of where does the top laner need to be if he actually doesn't have, because mistakes happen. A lot of times when the mistake happens of, you know, GP doesn't have a lane to go to anymore, he should go top lane and they should force the pressure on the top lane tower. It doesn't happen. And so when he's going to the bottom lane and he's alone for that one, he either needs the defense to be able to do that, or he needs to be going top lane with them. They made the initial mistake of not having the bottom lane pushed out, and then doubled down on the mistake of just not being able to follow him.
Yeah, and I do like how you had to subtly salt the LPL wound there. Not only does the LPL lose game 1, you're also trying to get Raz a little bit riled up. But speaking of salting the wound, Karsa was all over the place, hunting people down. That Galio Camille was working. They could find picks, but they couldn't find team
he was a pirate hunter, let's be real. He was going on to the 7 Seas trying to find one man only, and that was Hanabi, just chasing him down. Emaciated Gangplank. His investments have gone way off. Bitcoin crash. He had nothing, nothing at all. Poor boy. But it didn't matter, because the weird thing about this game was there was this big lull in the middle where not a lot is happening. Not a lot is happening. Some picks, Flashers will try something. RNG get more farm onto Uzi, but otherwise not a lot is happening. The big thing is what was happening and where the game was won and lost was Drake's. So many of our replays, so much of this game were fights around Drake's, because RNG said, we can have everything except the Drake. We're going to have to give that one up. But eventually, the Mordekaiser Drakes do things. Eventually, you have to opt into fights, and that's where all the good news happened for Flash Wolves.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. RNG's composition was really all in. Camille goes in, Galio is going to follow them, and I think at the back of their heads they realized that wasn't going to happen when you had 3 stopwatches on the enemy team. You saw in one of the team fights going a lot later on, and they a lot of the times just pushed away from Dragons because they didn't have the proper vision control, and if Camille was going to follow up with Galio didn't have the proper follow-up.
So let's bring up that last team fight that ended up deciding the game, because as we said, it was in fact a fight at the Drake, which RNG had seeded so many times. They take the Dragon, they find a few kills, and then they just chase it down to the next.
This was already about the close-up, and this is where the game is won and lost. We thought, I even called it a little bit earlier, they're going to try and end here. They got onto Uzi, he went down. I got to say, you think of Vladimir's role in team fights, and it almost is about the adding damage, the 10% bonus damage to an AoE. He can also be very Mundo-esque and he just ran straight at the Kai'Sa every fight. He would hold on to Hemoplague, get an incidental kill, and then flash for Hemoplague. Because if Vladimir keeps Kai'Sa out of the fight, there's no damage. Meanwhile, Mundo, you think about his usual role. If he's against a Zoe, get in melee range of the Zoe, she can't push any damage. If he's against an AD carry, well, consistent damage and consistent healing, pretty equalized, the AD carry is out of the fight. There was no one for Mundo to run at. I was calling for the orange drafts to be another initiate, another plasma applier, but didn't happen.
Well, now we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Before we do, though, let's hear from Sword Art's thoughts on how that game went.
Hello everyone, with me is the winning support Sword Art on his Pyke. The first question I have for you, Sword Art, is this is your first time playing the Pyke champion and also the first time LPL teams had to face the Mordekaiser bot lane. Why did you drop this composition, especially against RNG? 就是我想问一下，这是你们第一次选派克，然后也是 LPL 队伍，其实第一次在下路打到魔斗凯撒这样子一个角色。那我想问一下，是说你们为什么会选这个阵容？然后这个阵容是特别针对 RNG 去做选择的吗？
因为魔斗凯撒的话，其实我觉得他在这个版本中下路算是一支蛮强势的一支英雄，因为现在的角色都比较偏向近战，然后魔斗凯撒就比较不会有那种打不到人的问题。 对，然后雪球也滚得很快，所以是一支不错的角色。
那你们是特别针对 RNG 去做选择的吗？
其实我们就准备很多种打法，然后因为他们也有 ban 掉一些角色，所以我们就用这个打法来打这样。
Alright. So this is the first time that I'm playing Pyke. We feel like Mordekaiser is in a very good position in this meta. A lot of champions are short range and type bruiser types, so he can get a lot of damage in. He's very strong in the bot lane. And as for did we prepare this strategy specifically for RNG, I would say not really. We have a lot of things lined up in the future. I want to walk through one of those last team fights because this is where the game was won and lost. Every time RNG, they felt like they had the better 5v5, but you guys came out ahead. Can you walk us through what the shot calling was like and how you won those team fights? 我想问的第二个问题是说，我觉得 RNG 其实这一场主要输是在这个巴龙附近、物件附近的团战里面，但每一次其实我们解说都觉得 RNG 5打5可能稍微强势一点。你可以跟我们讲为什么每次闪电狼出来都是胜利方吗？
我觉得最主要的话是因为我们 Jungle 做得很好，就是他在前期带动风向做得很好，所以让我们在中后期的时候，虽然说我们可能整体阵容打到后期会有一点小劣势，但是因为我们前面领先的经济太多了，所以我们才会赢。
我可以跟你讲一下，其实你们到后来没有领先经济吗？
没有，但是就是在中期的时候，我们就可以拿到很多视野。对
，OK. So Sword Art's answer is that I think it has to do with Mugen getting us a lot of gold advantages earlier into the game and into the mid game, and that gave us a comfortable setup into the big objective plays. Then I interjected to Sword Art and told them that they actually didn't have a gold lead in the mid game, but Sword Art did come back and say it was mainly about Mugen setting up the correct vision around those big objectives so they could turn and make picks really easily. My last question for you, Sword Art, you came in and we saw on the start of the desk today that you were saying you had to take a couple more wins for the LMS as a whole. What do you think the LMS's performance is going to be like at this tournament? What do you think you're proud about as a member of the LMS region? 我最后一个想问你说，就是你在最前面的采访有说，就是你们要帮 LMS 多拿到几胜这样子。那你认为 LMS 来到这一次的一个洲际赛的话，大概有什么样的预期？然后你认为作为一位LMS 一员的话，你有什么就是觉得比较这个赛区比较特别，让你值得骄傲的地方？
我觉得这次的目标的话，希望当然是可以就是跟着其他3支 LMS 的队伍一起拿下冠军。然后，我觉得我们 LMS 选手就是每个人，我觉得个人操作实力都非常有天赋，但可能他们其他队没有像我们有那么多国际赛的经验，所以在就是赛场上可能临场反应没有到我们这么好。所以我觉得如果他们能加强这一点的话，我觉得他们也会是就是基本上我觉得他们也可以赢很多。对。
Our goals this tournament, of course, is to win with the other 3 teams coming in from the LMS. We are aiming for the championships. And as for what makes LMS special, we have a lot of talented players that have very good mechanics, but the other 3 teams don't have the international experience that our team does possess. So if they can patch up on their shot calling and performance under pressure, we do feel like they can take some games away from the other regions. Thank you so much, Sword Art. Congratulations on your first win of the day. And then back to the commercials.